Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome. We are honored to have Dr. Constanza Kaliks from Switzerland with us tonight. I would like to start by expressing my gratitude for your genuine interest and concern for Israel and the Middle East. It was a privilege to listen to you alongside Professor Zelk at the 2023 medical conference in Israel, where we could feel your deep commitment to our country. Thank you for that. And just about a week ago, you hosted a remarkable evening with Udi Levy alongside Rami and Bassam on the theme, how the deepest pain turns into brotherhood. Thank you for your time and friendship. With your permission, I will switch to Hebrew to introduce you. אז ערב טוב, חברים יקרים. כן, חצינו גם את שמחת תורה. היה יום מפחיד, פנימית, מתחים הכבדים עדיין פוקדים את המדינה בכל החזיתות, והמפגש השבועי שלנו עדיין שואף לבסס בתוכנו מרכז פנימי, תקווה, הרמוניה ואיזשהו חיבור עם משמעות חדשה. הערב הזמנו את דוקטור קונסטנצה קליקס, שהיא מכהנת בהנהלת הגטאנו מאז 2015, היא שותפה בהובלת הסקציה הפדגוגית והסקציה האנתרופוסופית הכללית בגטאנו. דוקטור קליקס תנסה ככל שניתן להתבונן על העמידה על הסף של אי ידיעה בתקופה כזאת, וכיצד להשאיר את השערים של התהוות מתמדת פתוחים גם בתקופה הזאת. אנו מודים לכולכם על ההשתתפות, על המצלמות הפתוחות, המיקרופונים הסגורים, וכרגיל נשמח להתייחסות שלכם לקראת תום ההרצאה או בכתיבה בצ'אט או בהשתתפות. נקווה לערב מועיל, פורה, שקט ורגוע. מזכירה שוב במקרה של הזקה, לכו למקום שצריכים ללכת. אז תודה רבה לכולם, and the stage is yours, Constanza. Please. You are muted, please.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you very much, Nurit and Eyal, for the invitation. And it's an honor for me to share this 1 hour with you all there in Israel. And as you said before, we are very connected to all of you in the hearts, in the minds, and always thinking if the best can happen. And it's not easy also to share thoughts in these situations, but maybe then, exactly then, it's more needed. And last week, as you said, we had a very remarkable moment at the Goetheanum, and people from the Goetheanum, also people who are there since many, many years, one of them said, this was the best moment in the last 30 years at the Goetheanum. And he meant really this heart that we could hear in the bites there. It was so true, every word that Bassam and Rami, together with Udi, could express there. And it was really a wonderful moment also for almost 200 students who could really experience this ripeness of the soul that human beings can achieve and can be able to share. And the only thing that we can do if something like that happens is to become silent in a certain sense. And with deep respect, we all heard what they brought. And I want also to thank you very much, Udi and Orna, to make that possible for the Goetheanum and for all those who have been there. And today, I would like to share some reflections on education. And I say really share some reflections, because education is one, we can say, of the most important things, in the sense that it is the act through that we signalize to those who are coming into the world that we want to live with them. And in the most difficult times, it's always the question, can we still be there for those who are coming? And I know that in this moment, it's not so easy to speak about those who are coming, because all are in such a danger in these situations in life. And exactly then maybe we can be reminded, and I heard that from people who were in very difficult situations, not in war situations, but in deep poverty situations in Brazil, where I came from, that exactly in the most difficult moments, if the children can experience that they are welcome, no matter what happens, this gives hope. And on one hand, reflections on education are given to all of us to think about, because all of us went through education. We are all experienced in education. And at the same time, education is needed in the sense of the moment itself, in the reality of the moment itself. And you will know in the reality, and each one will know in the reality that are the living reality, what can be done for those who are coming into the world full of hope and wish to be together. And so I would like today to share some reflections on that, what Hannah Arendt, and with that I would like to connect to the lecture that I know was given here by Peter Selk some weeks ago on Hannah Arendt's thinking. I would like to start connecting again to Hannah Arendt, but not on her thinking on our common task as citizens. Or maybe yes, but in another realm, in the realm of this reception to those who are also wanting to be citizens, to become citizens together with us on the world. And so I would like to start with some thoughts of her. And then I would like to develop a little bit in the sense of what she brings, what Rudolf Steiner developed as gestures of welcoming to those who are coming into the world. Yeah, and then I would like to end with two directions of these gestures of welcoming, two main directions that are the ground in a certain sense of all learnings. And it's not easy even to say the word, maybe, in this so terrible situations, but it is true that no matter what, children are coming into the world in the most difficult situations. They come into the world full of hope, full of longing, and they don't stop coming into the world. And this is something unbelievable. On one hand, we could say it's a miracle in a certain sense, because we could imagine that the world as it is, as it was in the 20th century, in many places, the world as it is today, in so many places of the world. The situations of war now. What are they searching for? What leads them to come? And in the moment of the birth, they are there. They breathe the same air we breathe. They enter the same realm in which we live, full of hope and full of future. A future that maybe we don't see now, but they bring this longing for this future today. And Hannah Arendt, she named that natality, the fact that human beings come into the world and that they are born. And she, in a certain sense, as a person who went so deep in the understanding and in the wish of understanding the darkest moments that were reality in this 20th century, she was also searching to understand the fact of natality. And very soon in her studies, when she was very young, she studied that in studying what Augustinus said in the 6th century. And she describes that in a very beautiful way, saying that his most important thought was to describe in which way the intensification of the will becomes love. The intensification of will is love. And she says, and that is what we can bring to those who are entering into the world. Because that is what they bring with them, the will to be here, together with the others. And this being together, Hannah Arendt says, is something that remains us all the time, that we are human beings. She will write in her late work, The Life of Mind, that not one human being lives on world, but human beings in plural. And because of that, they can say to themselves that they are human. And she says, this plurality that so many of us are there, the plurality, she says, is the law of the earth. And the human being is born into this plurality and for this plurality. And this plurality that all of us together we share at the same time, she says, is on one hand the fact that brings us to earth, and on the other hand, it's the ground for us to stay humans. Natality, she says, is that what disrupts, so to say, what happened before and starts a new beginning with every child that comes into the world. She says, with every child that is born, there is in a certain sense for all the world a new beginning. Because with a child, something is born that is unforeseeable and unthinkable, unimaginable, and it's unknown. But suddenly it's there. Suddenly it's there, breathing with us, living with us, hoping with us. And she says that in wonderful words that I would like to share with you. The miracle that repeatedly interrupts the course of the world and the course of human affairs and saves it from the ruin relies in the fact of natality, of being born. The miracle is that human beings are born, and with them a new beginning also is born. New beginnings, they are coming no matter what's going on. This was a fact in the 20th century. This is a fact today. And Rudolf Steiner describes that this being born is an expression, is the final realization of the will, of a will to become, of a will of continuity, of a will of togetherness and of belonging. And I would say that Rudolf Steiner's whole impulse for education, in a certain sense, describes gestures of reception, gestures of welcoming, gestures of active affirmation for those who are entering our world. And we can ask ourselves, how can we, and you can ask, and each one of us, how can we assecure those who are coming into the world that they will find an experience of these gestures of welcoming? And hopefully, they will find schools where they can experience that. But if the schools need to be closed, then we will find ways. People will always find ways of this reception to be realized. And I would like to describe a little bit these three main gestures of welcoming in the sense of that what those who are coming into the world long to experience. And the first of these gestures that we can offer to those who comes into the world, and many of them are well known by you, of course, the first is the gesture that results in the experience for the newborn child that his presence here on earth is wanted. To be wanted is this first experience of welcoming. So the will brought this child into the real moment of the first breathing. This will to share a common world together with those who are there. And now the answer is, yes, we want you to be here. And how can we organize ourselves? How can we do things in such a way in these first months, years of the child's life, that the child can really feel, I am wanted in this world that I expected to come into. And the very first, or one of the first experiences on that, what Hannah Arendt says, that we remain humans because there are other humans together with us, is a very, we can say, simple, maybe obvious experience, but it's a very deep one, I would say. And this is that the others will tell us that what is the most deep expression of ourselves. It's due to the others that we receive our name. the others will tell us what is our name. And there is no person in the world without name. Nobody is without name. Whoever comes into the world will become a name, will have a name, will hear a name. A name will be said. And from then on, this is my name. And when I hear it, I know it's me. The innermost experience of ourselves in a group of people, in school, in the classroom, it was not something that we said it is that, but it's something that was said to us. We were called, and then we knew, yes, this is my name. And this is a first affirmation of those who are around us to say, you are wanted, exactly you. Not one child, this child with this name. And all the care we can say around the child, I mean the physical care, the warmth, the nutrition, taking the child, this all is affirmation, is saying yes, is this gesture of welcoming you, exactly you are wanted. And the question is, how can we offer to the children this experience, you are wanted, as an answer to this deep longing to be here? And then, and we can also translate that wish into this experience of trust. In a certain sense, to experience I am wanted is also an experience that trust is possible. A very, very early experience of trust. And then the growing little child will start to see the world, will start to see the others, will start to experience this unbelievable richness of what is. The unbelievable richness that made this decision so concrete to share, to come. And the next gesture we can say, Rudolf Steiner describes this next gesture of welcoming as a gesture that enables the child to experience that he is seen. This deep longing to be seen. And this to be seen maybe is something that we can forget in difficult moments. I think that the experience of warmth, of nutrition for the very little children, this experience is ensured, will be there, because it's very deep in our, I would say, in our most unconscious relation to the others, that a little child needs this protection, a newborn. But then the children, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, the little children going into school, they need to be seen. They need to experience there are adults seeing me. And this to be seen is in a certain sense what allows them to open also their eyes more and more to see the wonders of the world. And they will see wonders in the world because they are there. And sometimes maybe they are hidden, but for children, they are always there. These wonders of the world. And Rudolf Steiner says in this period of the first childhood, of the childhood in school times, there is this deep longing to perceive the beauty in the world. And we could ask ourselves, but where is this beauty? Where is this beauty? And of course, the world is not at all beautiful. The same, it's not at all good. But the question is, are we able to give to the children the experience that there is goodness also, and that there is beauty also? And the children, they expect to be able to wonder. And they can dive into this wonder. And I would like to share something that I was reading yesterday. I was reading the course, the last pedagogical course Rudolf Steiner gave to teachers, and it was in England, in Torquay, in August 1924. That means 100 years ago. And in preparation to some things that in the pedagogical section we would like to present also with these last courses Rudolf Steiner gave to the teachers, I was reading, and there is a lecture where he then says, well, the children in this moment, in these beginning years of school, they are full of wonder, and they can learn from the wonder. And then he says, and we can give them graceful, he says gracefully images for this wonder. And then in the lecture, he tells a little story about a flower. And reading that yesterday, I thought maybe I could tell you this story, but then I changed my mind. But I want to tell you, if you have the opportunity to read this story about a little flower that suddenly opens and awakes, and she looks to this big, big blue sky. And the flower is afraid because the sky is so big. And I will not tell you now this story, but it is full of wonder. It is an example of the most simple and most deep wonder. It's finally a conversation between the flower and a not beautiful and a very strong, a little bit bad dog, and a very nice sheep. So, two animals, the flower and the sky. And Rudolf Steiner tells the whole story to these teachers in Torquay with translation, imagine that. It takes 2 pages in the book. So you could imagine, okay, he really took his time. Then he says, and out of the wonder of the conversation of this little flower in this huge blue sky, the child can learn so much about the world. And coming back to school or to education in the ways it will be possible wherever children are, there is this question: can we remind as adults on moments of wonder so that the children can still have the possibility to breathe into the wonder? And there is a very special poet, a Brazilian poet. She's a woman, and she was also a teacher, Adélia Prado, and her poetry is beautiful, and she speaks a lot about the wonder. And she says, I will say it first in Portuguese and then in a translation. She says, de vez em quando Deus me tira a poesia. Olho pedra e vejo pedra mesmo. Every now and then, God takes away from me the poetry. Then I look at the stone and I just see stone. Yeah. Every now and then, God takes away from me the poetry. Then I look at this stone and I just see stone. Can we stay in wonder for children, for them, with them? Where is the wonder? Where is the wonder in this world? And I would like to read some words about that, about this, both qualities. First, this trust for the little child, and also the wonder. And these are words from Martin Buber, which you may know very well. Buber was also deeply, deeply connected to Israel, to the story of Israel, to the relations with all of them who were living there in the beginning, after the war and later, and he went to Israel, he lived there. He said 1925. 1925, he gave a speech on education. And it was in a congress in Heidelberg, an international congress who was attended by 400 and more teachers from many countries, and he gave the opening lecture. And it was a very important lecture given by him because this Congress had as the topic new perspectives on education. And he started saying, what I will bring is something different. And he was not speaking about what the teachers should do or how they should do, but he was speaking about the relation in between the teacher and the child. And his book that you may know, I and Thou, was already published at that point. So this idea that thanks to the otherness of the other, the human being can be himself. And this idea for him, for Martin Buber, was the ground for education. So he was not speaking about new methodologies, about new curriculums, about anything like that. He was just speaking about the relation in between the teacher and the child, the teacher and the young person. And during this lecture, he often uses the word God. In a certain sense, saying that there is an always present relation in education to something that goes beyond myself. And that learning to be in the world, learning to be on earth, is also learning to stay in relation with the unknown. And so he says, I will quote him, trust in the world, because there is this one human being. That is the most intimate work of the educational relationship. Because there exists this one human being, however much it oppresses one, the absurd cannot be the true truth. Because there exists this human being, there is surely light in the darkness, salvation in fear, and the great love hidden in the stupor of those living with us. So for the child, because there is this one human being, there will be light, surely, light in the darkness, salvation in fear, and there is a great love, maybe hidden, but it will be there. So this adult, or these adults, that can transmit to the child the possibility of this trust. And the same for the wonder. Do these children will find someone who will still be able to live, at least for some moments, in the reality of wonder, of wondering. Yeah. And then in the youth, maybe with 12, 13, 14, the children, they start, the young persons, they start to have one more silent expectation. And the answer to this silent expectation, again, will be a gesture of welcoming. And this gesture is to give to the young people the experience that they are recognized, recognition. And the question to us, to the adults, to the surrounding is the surrounding able, at least at some moments, to give them this deep experience, I am recognized. And it's not easy, because this is a recognition that goes far beyond often what they are now. It's a recognition, it's kind of seeing something that is just there as a seed, as a potential. And the questions, are adults there able to give this certainty that this potential was seen without interpretation, saying you will be that or that, but as such, recognition. To be recognized is an existential experience for the youth. All of them, to be wanted, to be seen, are also experiences that are important during the whole life. Each one of us wants to be wanted in our presence. Each one wants to be seen. And each one remains wanting to be recognized. And also how much of all these terrible situations of war are in a certain sense a lack of these experiences that we need during our whole life. To be wanted in our presence, to be seen in what we are, and to be recognized in what we can become. But for the young people, this is a ground experience, a fundamental experience, and it is a big question for our societies all over the world, and not only question in these deep existential situations as now in Israel, but all over the world. It is a question. Are we able as society to give them the experience of being recognized? And this is an experience that only a human being can give to the other human being. the experience of being recognized. And it is the question if we will stay able to give that, this gesture of welcoming into the earth. We are asked to that. And the school is asked to be the realm in which that should happen. Maybe not all the time, but at least at some moments. Each one of the young persons should have the possibility to deeply experience, I was recognized. And we all can remind ourselves, I think, on moments of recognition by others. We all can remind ourselves sometimes of moments where we were not seen as children and how harmful it is. But at least in some moments we were seen, and how harmful it is for a young person not to be recognized often. But at least at some moments, maybe each one could be recognized. And in this recognition by the others, in the soul, something is awakened. The trust that it is meaningful to share a common world. And Rudolf Steiner says, the young persons, they long to experience truth. The truth in the world. And this is, in a certain sense, the truth of themselves recognized by the others. And again, we can say, of course, the world is not only true, or not everything in the world is true. And how painful it is to experience so many realms of our society in which there is not truth. But the question is not if everything is true. The question in education is if they can experience that there is truth. And this is what we are asked as society to make possible, as school, as educational realm, wherever it will be. And now I would like, after these short descriptions of this anthropology, of this knowledge of the human being given by Rudolf Steiner as descriptions of gestures of welcoming into the world, I would like now to go into two main tools for that to become real. Two main tools for this learning of the world and in the world. And these two main tools, maybe others can be also described, but out of also my experience in classroom with mathematics for 20 years in upper school, I would really say and confirm that these that are not described by myself, I will just share them now, are main tools for this learning. And the first one is the desire, the wish, the longing that appears in a certain sense in this relation to what I don't know. The desire that is able to awake myself to something that is beyond my knowledge. This breathing into an unknown but perceivable world. I can't develop desire to something that is totally alien to me. I need at least to smell, to feel, to guess that there is something to be known. And this desire is the condition for learning, is the condition for starting this inner movement to go beyond where I am now. And so there is a deep relation in between this desire and learning. Without desire, this very important thinker of the 15th century, Nicholas of Cues, without desire, there is no knowledge. There is no learning without desire. But without learning, without knowledge, there can't also be any desire. Because I need to know something to be able to develop new desire. And so the learning and this desiring connection to the world, they are always together. And again, we are asked as school, as educators, as teachers, as adults, can we let the young people experience desire? Is it possible for us to awaken them the expectation for something to be known? This is a ground question, because often as adults, and maybe in so difficult situations, we lose the desire to know this world. But they need us to make these bridges so that they can expect something to be known. They can hear through a story, through a description, through a riddle, through something they experience, to something they hear or see, that there is something worthful to be known, something precious to be known. This little flower in conversation with the big, big sky opens so many possibilities of just perceiving there is something worthful to be known. Desire, the main ground for knowledge and learning. The connection to the unknown through a bridge that we can build for and with the child. And the other is something very simple again, but very difficult. And I think also very difficult in difficult times. And this is something, and I will now quote Simone Weil, because she wrote, she was also a teacher, a part of being a thinker and a revolutionary and a very engaged person for those who were in suffering during the Second World War, to those who were working. And she says that maybe the most important learning in school for the children is to learn to give attention. Attention as a main orientation for learning. And she quotes Nicolas Malebranche from the 17th century, and he said that attention is the natural prayer of the soul. Attention as the natural prayer of the soul. Yeah, to give attention, to stay in attention. The attention, this that we remain on something. Desire and attention, both of them, I think, are our challenge, but also our chance to welcome those who are coming into the world with tools that enables them to find this world. And Simone Weil says that attention is the rarest and purest form of generosity. Attention is the rarest and purest form of generosity. We give attention. It's a gift to the things, to the others, to the world. We give attention. We pay attention. We stay in attention. Can we search for this inner attention? And as a professor of education in Barcelona, Josep María Esquirol says, the attention in the school is different as the attention at home with the mother. When the child is born, we used to carry the child around and to show things and say, look, and look, and look. And we look around. And it's always a short attention. And then in school, we will learn together with the child to extend and to stay in attention. And Simone Weil says, this is the biggest form, or the rarest and purest form of generosity, to stay in attention. And so these two gestures, the desire, the longing, this breathing together with something that I don't know, but I feel it's there, and the attentive action, this attention that stays. This is a question. If we can develop that, if we can develop moments for that to happen for the children and for the young people. And as said before, if in school, then it's wonderful. But maybe if the schools are not able to receive children, the question is, where are realms and moments in which they can stay learning, that there are unbelievable treasures to be discovered, to be known, and that we can stay with attention on them. Yeah, maybe I would close with that at that point. And I would like, thank you very much first for your attention. And I would like to open for conversation and for exchange. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I become speechless after your words. If there's anyone who would like to ask or to add something, please open your microphone. Tamar, I can see you want to speak.
I just want to ask for the words of the poem again, because I didn't write it.
Of the poem from Brazil?
Yes.
Yes.
And I will take a pen.
Yeah. Her name is Adélia Prado. I can send the quotes later, maybe, with the names and so, and then you can have them. I promise.
Okay.
Good. Mm-hmm. But the words, I can repeat the words anyway in my translation, of course. And it is, every now and then, God takes away the poetry. Then I look at stone and I just see stone.
Okay, thank you very much.
If someone wants to speak in Hebrew, it's also okay, and we will translate it. I can ask you a question, Constanza, because what you said is remarkable, really inspiring, and give a lot of hope. But it seems so far away from situation at war. I can't imagine how it's possible, I would say now in Gaza, for someone to hold such a way of thinking and behavior. I don't know if you can add something to that.
Yeah, so I am not able to give the answer for your question. But what I can share are experiences of school in very difficult conditions of poverty. That is what I know also from my experience in Brazil. I don't think that these two situations are comparable, but they are both very, very difficult. And in the further education of teachers, I met many teachers of public schools, but then working in Waldorf schools, that they experienced themselves hunger, but deep hunger in their childhood. They lived in the same city as I lived, São Paulo, with 22 million people. And I will share the story of one of them. And when she was a child, they had nothing to eat. And she told me that in an interview. So for her, I can speak about that here. To the extreme that they went to garbage and they took things from there. And then, because of several things, she was able not to go to this school. There was a little Waldorf school, kind of Waldorf school in this place where she lived. She was not able to join the school, but in the afternoons for some hours to be there. And the most important thing was the food, of course. So she could have food, and in the end of the afternoon, the parents could come, take the children, and take the rests of the food in plastic bags home. And this would be then the dinner. And she describes how she then could learn. She could learn out of these moments of trust that she experienced, but also the parents, because these parents were, of course, desperate. They had many children, and it was a lack of food for all of them. And then there was this moment in the day. It was not the school, but it was after the school, so they could join. And this gesture, of course, also the real food, of course, but this gesture, you can come, and we are here. And so what she says is that until today, she's a class teacher. For her, the most important is to cook for their children in the class. The children, they are not suffering from hunger anymore. So she is in a school and she teaches them things. But still for her, this experience of enabling them to have the trust that there is this main need, so to say, secure. And I don't know how people can do that. The question is it possible to find the strength for, at least in some moments, the children have this one experience of, yeah, where they can have this trust. And I could tell you many other stories in this realm. There was another, maybe just this one, also connected to hunger, because this is the, I mean, in the poverty, this is what then appears, and everything else also, you can imagine, of violence and so on. So it's not just hunger, and everything in life continues. It's accompanied by many things. And there was the cook of this school, a wonderful woman. She cooks for all the children and the teachers every day. And she was never in school because she needed to work. That means to clean or to go to the garbage to bring food home. And she says that she had not any hope anymore. She had also children in the same situation by herself. And then she was invited by chance to work in the school, and they asked her what she could do and if she could cook. She was not able to read and write. She is not able to read and write. And then she started to become a cook in the school, and her whole youth and adulthood, first adulthood, was full of hunger, of real hunger. And then she says that when she heard the invitation to work, and she said that in this conversation and interview, she started to dream again. She said, eu comecei a sonhar de novo. I started to dream again. And this is the question, if there are possibilities of experiences in which a dream is still possible. And I think her word was so true, because in the beginning it was just a dream. And then it became real for her and her children and so on. So it's very far, I think, from the reality of many children in the world. It's very, very far. And I don't have the answer for that, but the hope that at some point they will have the possibility to experience this trust. Yeah. It's not an answer to your question.
Thank you.
I want to share that when you were speaking, I just remember that I saw a TV show about mothers that were there in October 7 in the terrible situations, and in all this chaos. And during this year, they gave birth to a new child, newborn, and they described the connection with the life forces for them. And I could see them through all your lecturing now. You know, it's something that they brought to the children, but the children just bring them the same, yeah, because all the trust and all the longing and the hope, it's together. It's not only that when you give it to the children, it's there. And I think it's something very important to hold. Thank you so much.
You were speaking about children, and I was thinking all the time about us as adults. What's happened when you don't feel wanted, seen, and recognized. And what's happened when you don't provide it to the other person? Maybe the whole brutality and war that we're facing now is, you can look at it in a way, the situation when both sides could not provide those three basic needs to the other. And I also think for myself, what's happened to me when I feel unwanted, unseen, and unrecognized, how I become angry and a lot of maybe want to revenge and to do terrible, terrible things to the other that don't provide me such. That could be a good sign for me that this is something I can work on it with myself and not punish the other one. I can see the whole war situation is maybe a result of not able to provide it.
It is so important also for the therapist that works with children to hold it. I think it's really a golden opportunity, this lecture. Thank you so much.
Be just one more sentence to connect to what you started with. And this is one of the strongest impression I had from the talk that Udi had with Bassam and Rami. They were able, Bassam and Rami, to see the other through their most horrible thing that happened to them. And they didn't lose this force inside themselves to really see the other, or to seek to see the other, to give him respect. It's a lot of hope there. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. And yeah, we stay connected from far but very close.
Yeah,
Thank
right.
Thank you for that.
Thank you for your heart that you are with us. We could feel it. Thank you so much. It was inspiring.
Thank you.
Oh.